So, what if your EU proposal is already losing points before the evaluator even starts reading it? Not because the idea is weak, not because the budget is wrong or the consortium is bad. In this episode of InnovEU, I'm sharing selected clips of my live webinar, How to Pre-Mortem Your EU Proposal Before the Evaluator Does. The core idea is simple. You do not want to discover what is wrong with your proposal after the evaluator has scored it. Uh, that's a post-mortem. You want to find the downgrade risks while you can still fix them. That's the idea of the pre-mortem. So in this episode, you'll hear how I use a pre-mortem workflow to stress test EU proposals, identify structural risks, improve impact logic, and in general make proposals easier to read by the evaluators and by their assistants, the LLMs, ChatGPT, Claude, so on. Because today, proposal writing is no longer just about sounding good. And it's surely not about storytelling. Let me tell you this. It's about being easy to score. So before we enter the webinar, just one quick note. The workflow I demonstrate in this session is connected to Grandchild Premortem. That's a practical AI-assisted review process designed to identify structural downgrade risks before submission. It does not replace the proposal writer. It does not write the project for you. It helps you see what your team may be too close to see. And let me tell you by my own experience, it does show you a lot of things you should have seen, at least for me. Either weak logic, missing evidence, vague impact claims, inconsistent terminology, that's very common with me. And some sections that sound impressive but are difficult to score. You'll find the link in the episode notes. Now let's go into the webinar. Okay, so welcome to this workshop, how to pre-mortem your EU proposal before the evaluator does. You don't want to post-mortem that. It's not good because it's too late, but you want to find out what's wrong with your proposal while you can still change it. My promise for you today, and thanking you for taking the time to be here, my promise for you today is that by the end of this session, you will have the practical pre-mortem worksheet with your data. Please, if you haven't done so, download the worksheet from the link you got from in the email. I hope you'll get also a clear view of the many downgrade risks these proposals include. You'll get also a live demonstration of the pre-mortem workflow I use. And I hope you'll get also a better sense of how to improve readability for LLM assisted review. Okay, let's not jump ahead. Let's start. This is a practical session, so I'll be using a mock-up proposal for a call that has just closed. I didn't submit the proposal, by the way. It's really just made for this. So you don't need to input any confidential content in our session. Okay, our structure is probably going to take less than this, but we'll start with a quick audience diagnostic presentation of me and Apredin, the NGO I run. We'll then look at pre-mortem. What do I mean with this? What is this? I'll show you how you can use this when the deadline is next week or when the deadline is next year. It's different. We'll use a demo case, the mock-up proposal I just mentioned, and we'll have 3 live demonstrations, and we'll end with social proof and possible future collaborations. My name, is Fernando Gaspar. I'm an economist. I teach at a business school that was created in the 18th century. I like to say this because it's not common. It's a very old business school. Um, I published this book, Transition Science in the Economy, which I used as you'll see later, in this process. I host this podcast in InnovEU, the EU Project Chronicles. If you are interested in these areas of EU projects, we have now more than 100 episodes. We're in the fifth season. You'll find many interesting interviews. I'll come back to this later. I published this newsletter, Polis Doxa, weekly. It's about transformations in the economy, in the present economy, and it includes obviously innovation, and that includes research funding and EU projects. And as I said, I've been working in EU proposals and EU projects for over 20 years. Apredin is a Portuguese NGO. The only purpose of this NGO is to increase innovation and entrepreneurship in the country. It was founded in 2005. We have been running projects in Interreg, Erasmus Plus, SERV, AMIF, Horizon, innovation ecosystems. The idea of the NGO is to connect academia with SMEs, public bodies, and civil society. So, as I promised, I'll start by explaining what is this Grand Shield pre-mortem thing. The idea of pre-mortem is exactly as the name says, is to do a post-mortem before the proposal is dead. So it's a stress test, evaluator style stress test to correct what can be improved in our proposal before we submit it. It's like if you asked an expert who has a lot of experience in that field and in evaluating a EU proposal, you ask him to do an evaluation, a review of your proposal 1,000 times. Not one, but 1,000 times. It focuses on mimicking the evaluator scoring process. It's designed for teams that have a real call deadline and have the need to maximize the final score of the proposal they have. Nowadays, it's all about maxing things. Well, we're trying to max the score. It's not proposal writing, it's not consulting, it's not proofreading. I'll show you how it is done and what it gives you. Now, this pre-mortem can be used in different ways depending on your deadline. If your deadline is next week, what you can do with this is try to take the most advantage possible of what you have already done. Try to maximize the scoring you get from what you have already built. And there's a lot to be done, always. If you have time, if your deadline is not that close, then you can do better than that. You can optimize your consortium. You can find partners, and we use the link to these databases, Cordis, Erasmus Plus. Even the podcast I mentioned, we now have over 100 episodes, so over 100 guests, which are running institutions running EU projects. Even that database is useful in trying to find the right partners for your consortium. But that's only if you have time. It's not what we're going to do today. Today, we're going to build a proposal, work on a proposal for which you have only 3-4 days. So this is designed for late stage proposal, trying to make the most out of the work you've done. How is this done? Well, I've built this database of over 100 cases. What do I mean by that? I have 100 sets of calls that took place in the past 3 years. So I have for each one, I have the call text, I have the evaluated guidelines when they were separate from the call text. Sometimes I also need an annexes, like the example we're going to see. Then I have the proposal that was submitted, and I have the evaluation reports. And then I trained this GPT I created to maximize, to correct the obvious things that are very obvious to the evaluator, and we are so committed to the proposal that we don't see it. So it tries to identify the little things that will cost you downgrades, that will cost you scoring points, using the same process that evaluators use in scoring. Tries to improve each section individually, and then this is a later add-on, the version 2.0. It tries to strengthen the LLM readability. Why would you want your proposal to be readable for an LLM? Well, going back to the podcast, many of my guests uh, are also or have been evaluators, and they all, not most, not some, all admit off the record they need to use. It's not that they don't just admit they use LLMs in the review process. Is that they need to, because the deadlines are so short and they have so much work. So it would be stupid not to use an LLM. But then this is something that I've been working in the past few years. If you're writing for an LLM to read you, you cannot write as if a human was going to read you. I started doing this work in a completely different area in marketing. My first work in this area was designed to see how do you adapt your marketing when the buying choices are being made with the help of LLMs or by agents. Um, and then later, I extended that work to the area of academic research, academic publishing, and there's a lot of research in that area, and there's quantitative research showing that both LLMs are very much used in reviewing process of academic papers, and both also that the results are different, and it's natural they are different. Now I'm also using this in this area of reviewing proposals, EU proposals, or research grant-based funding. And the thing is, if you've been around this long as I have, you've probably done trainings, and you probably read a lot of things of people explaining to you, you should write your proposal has a story, because that's how humans get information. You and that has always been a puzzle for me. How do you put a story in those fixed fields, in those boxes in the proposal form? But that's been the main area of focus of training in this area. You have to write your proposal in a story so that the evaluators will have no choice but to learn your ideas and how good they are. Okay, that can work with humans, but trust me, LLMs, they don't get stories. You need to write in a completely different way. I'll come back to this in a minute. So I'm going to demonstrate this, and I'm going to use this fictional proposal to a call that just closed, the day before yesterday. It's Horizon Infront 2026 Tech 0102. It's a RIA. The deadline was 16th, and the expected contribution was between 5 and 7.5 million. That's not important. The fictional proposal is this Clima Secure Twin. an AI-enabled digital twin for climate security risk anticipation. So it's 36 months, 6.8 millions, 11 partners, and we're gonna do three pilots: coastal flood, urban heat water stress, and wildfire mobility. So this is the proposal I wrote to exemplify here. The partnership is made of real partners. They exist, but I changed their names because obviously there were some. There is one strategic lesson I would take from this webinar. Your EU proposal is not just a document, it's a scoring interface, and that changes about everything. Because a proposal does not win because it sounds ambitious. It wins because an evaluator can extract the logic quickly. What's the objective, the need, the method? Who does what? Where's the evidence? What changes because of the project? If those links are buried, if those links are difficult to extract, the proposal becomes fragile. If claims and evidence are separated, the proposal becomes fragile. You need the evaluator to have the time and the mental bandwidth to connect the things that are separated in the proposal. That's not good. Uh, if each section uses different words for the same idea, I do that a lot, God knows, that proposal becomes fragile. So that is the real value of the pre-mortem. It forces the proposal to face the evaluator before the evaluator sees it. So here is the question for your next proposal. If an evaluator was to use an LLM to read your proposal, what would it extract? What would the algorithm extract from your proposal? Just a parenthesis, he or she will. Okay, thank you for watching this episode. You'll find the links to Grand Shield Pre-Mortem, the InnovEU podcast, and my book Transition Science in the Economy in the episode notes. If this episode provided value some way, if it helped you think differently about the EU proposals, please like, subscribe, restack, share it with one colleague. And if your organization works on EU-funded projects and you would like to be featured on InnovEU, share your experience, your ideas, and attract new partners, send me a DM on LinkedIn, because Europe's transitions are already shaping our future, and your project might be part of the story. See you next week.